Welcome everybody out there in your homes all over the world, and thank you for logging in to join us for ActionAid's Pledge for Women's Rights event. We're so thrilled to welcome our presenters and guests from across the globe, in fact. So good evening, good afternoon, and good morning as well. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise a continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay respects to our elders past, present and emerging. And for those of you joining us from around the world, we also extend that recognition and respect to the traditional owners of the land on which you are joining us from tonight. My name is Jacinta Parsons. I'm a radio broadcaster on ABC in Australia, and I've also had the pleasure of hosting amazing events like this. Tonight, I'm going to be your guide for this very special pitch and pledge event in support of ActionAid Australia. Tonight's event is powered by the Funding Network. It's an Australian not-for-profit that brings people together for good. We've run quite a few of these events online in the past year, but this virtual format, as I'm sure you can imagine, can be a little bit unpredictable sometimes. So we are grateful for you to be patient and laugh with us if things don't go quite as smoothly as we hope. You're going to see, and you can see it here, hello Carol, who says thank you, that there is a chat box to the right of your screen. And I see it's been so nice to say and see who's actually already out there in the world. Say hi, tell us where you're from. If you would like to, hi Claire as well, share in, your excitement for tonight as well. It's just, if you haven't done this before, it's just such a lovely experience, such an honor to hear about the work that is going on around the world. We've got a really fast-paced program planned for you. To get us started, I'd like to invite Executive Director of ActionAid Australia, Michelle Hegelin, to say a few words.
Thanks, Jacinta, and hello everyone. Welcome to ActionAid's Pledge for Women's Rights. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know, the best part of my job is the inspiring women I meet around the world who are rising up in the face of adversity and driving social change. And I'm thrilled and humbled that tonight we have 3 of these exceptional women in our midst. You know, in times of crisis, women often find the odds stacked against them. Women are frequently excluded from decision-making and denied access to resources. As a result, humanitarian response fails to account for women's specific needs. This can be catastrophic for women's rights. Yet we know there's a better way of responding. In fact, the response to crisis can be an opportunity for radical change. For more than 15 years, ActionAid has pioneered women-led emergency response. And through this, we've witnessed firsthand that when women are front and centre in emergency response, they are among the most effective responders to disaster. Drawing on their existing skills, knowledge and networks, women take the lead in caring for the injured and most vulnerable. They set up safe spaces to protect against violence, and they ensure the food security of their families. However, moments of crisis can also present opportunities for women to realise their leadership potential and to transform the way they're viewed in their communities over the long term. Investing in women's leadership in preparing for and responding to emergencies can deliver significant gains in gender equality. And tonight, you're going to hear about some of this work directly from 3 inspiring women leaders we work with, from Vanuatu, Bangladesh and the Philippines. I've had the privilege of seeing firsthand just how profound the impact of this investment can be, particularly for women who've been traditionally denied resources and a voice. Supporting women on the front lines of crisis is at the heart of what we do as ActionAid as part of our efforts to advance women's rights and end poverty and injustice in 45 countries globally. Equipping women to respond during the window of opportunity opened up during a crisis is one of the most strategic investments we can make. It shifts power to those who face the greatest risks and ensures that the devastation wrought by a tsunami, an earthquake, or a health pandemic does not disproportionately impact women. A crisis can be a catalytic moment. Resourcing the right response can ignite radical change for gender equality. With your help tonight, we hope you'll be part of igniting this change and pledging your support behind these three incredible women and their locally led initiatives that are turning crisis response on its head. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle, very much for giving us that wonderful insight. As Michelle mentioned, we are about to hear from three inspirational program leaders in Vanuatu, Bangladesh, and the Philippines. These women will give first-hand insights into the challenges facing women in their regions and how ActionAid is responding. Each presenter is going to have 5 minutes to share their story, followed by a live Q&A. And after that, we're going to facilitate live pledging through that chat room that you can see there on the right. I'm going to give you more instructions when we get to that part of the program. But for now, sit back, relax, and listen to these three amazing stories. Let's meet our first presenter. Flora Vano is the country manager for ActionAid Vanuatu. She is Ni Vanuatu woman who is leading ActionAid's women-led localized response to COVID-19 in Vanuatu. Starting with ActionAid in 2017, she has extensive experience in working in emergency response and advancing women's rights in the Pacific nation. Please welcome Flora, who is joining us from Port Vila in Vanuatu with your beautiful flower. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
Thank you so much, Jacinta, and good evening and welcome. I want to let you know two facts about my country, Vanuatu. The first fact, Vanuatu is the #1 country in the world most at risk of disaster. The second fact, there are no women in our national parliament. What that means for us as women is that we had no voice at all, none, in policymaking and in decision-making in our country. Let me tell you about the two impacts through the eyes of a woman I know. I want you to know about a woman I know called Hannah. I've changed her name to protect her. I met Hannah back in 2017. She was very shy, didn't talk much, so quiet, and she had no confidence at all. Hannah came from an island called Tanna. She's 37 years old. When I met her, she felt like an old woman who couldn't even, hold her head up high. Like all the women who have grown up on the island, she was married at a young age and became a mother at 17. Life for a young woman on Tanna is hush. She had to wash, she had to clean, she had to fetch water, and was punished for even speaking out or back at her husband. When she couldn't put food on the table, she was punished. Violence is just a way of life for women in our country. And something else is affecting our lives. On top of all of this, Ni Vanuatu women like Hannah and myself faced a continual threat of climate disasters like cyclones and impact of climate change. We deal with droughts and the struggle of not enough food, which put more stress on family life. And then, as you know, with violence started to increase. This is the cycle of poverty and violence from the women have to endure every day. But we are not victims. As women, we have learned that information is power. 5 years ago, when Cyclone Pam hit, as Women, we told our communities we needed to evacuate. Women in Tana told their husband and community men, but the men didn't even listen. They went and drank kava and tell stories instead. And as a result, there was a massive destruction and lives were lost. Since then, we have learned that information is power. Now, as women, we are using mobile technology for weather and other disaster monitoring as an early warning system that's spreading the word when disasters strike. This means we can be prepared. We know what to do. We know how to make our community safe. Woman Western Weather is a network, a strong network of women who leads in times of disaster and who leads in the recovery process. Following Cyclone Pan, ActionAid helped women come together and supported the establishment of a forum. It started small, and over the past 6 years, it has grown and expanded to 5 islands. And now it includes over 4,000 women. These women meet 2 times a month to discuss their problems and find solutions. Last year, when COVID came, it was the only way that we got information out to the communities in real time. Through this, we've reached half the population with life-saving prevention message. And Hannah was part of the team sending these messages. Cyclone Pan showed us that women's voices were being ignored. So the solution is to put technology into the hands of women who are driving the change. We have proven it works, and now we need to scale and sustain this network. To sustain through the next cyclone season, we need your support. If you were able to give $100, it can buy a handset for one of our community women leader. With your $500, we could buy emergency stock supplies like rice for the community so women can stockpile for when their crops are destroyed, they can rely on this crop to feed their family. If you are in a position to support us with $1,000, it could enable Hannah to train 10 other women in her community so they know what to do when a cyclone comes to keep themselves and their families safe. Tonight, if we raise $20,000, this will mean that Women Western Weather Program can be expanded to the northern islands of Malo and Malekula up north, reaching 1,000 women. This means during the next cyclone season, we can reach an additional 50,000 people with warning messages. Vanuatu women are leading the way through the climate crisis. And Hannah is a clear example of this today. Today, Hannah is a community mobilizer. She has a bubbly energy, and she comes to the forum meeting regularly. She's no longer beaten up by her husband. She knows her right, and Hannah is full of spirit. She feels young again. She looks after the Sister Saving and Loan Scheme on Tana. This is part of growing the community resilience. She is a mentor to other women who are new to Women Western Weather Forum. She tells her stories of courage and transformation. She listens, she supports the women who are dealing with their fears and trauma. Women work together, not alone. And that is collective power of women. That is the power of women with knowledge. Tonight, I ask you to stand with Hannah and the women of Vanuatu. I believe in the work we are doing and the work ActionAid is doing. The work we are doing is creating change. And I get to see this every day. Thank you.
Flora, thank you so much. Talking about bubbly personalities, we can feel you all the way where we are across the world. And you need to read the chat box if you get an opportunity to, because there's just so much respect and love for you coming through from all the comments, and such gratitude for the work and your inspiration. So thank you for that wonderful presentation. What we're going to do now, before we let you go, is we're opening up to questions. You can see down the bottom of your screen there is an Ask a Question section. You just click on that and write a question that you may have for Flora this evening. Or you can just pop in there and vote for the questions that you like. But Flora, I have so many questions for you after hearing about the incredible work. I'm interested for you, what inspires you to lead this work? Flora, can you?
I sort of cut off a little bit there.
No worries. I have a question for you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderful. I can.
So you heard that we love you, and then the next bit is what inspires you to lead this work?
Thank you. That is a very good question. I'm an indigenous Vanuatu woman who lived in Vanuatu since birth and lived through every kind of disasters, cyclones, and from there. So it is becoming more personal, and I know that through my current role, I can make a difference with communities experiencing the same. I feel this is personally my responsibility to make it work. I want to support the communities, the women, the young girls. They go through stressful moments. I want to be part of creating a new Vanuatu where women feel safe. And ActionAid provides that space for my colleague and I to do that. And if I did not help a family or a sister or a mother, it will tear me to pieces. It gives me peace, like real peace, to know that someone had food today on the table. They did not sleep hungry, or had clean water, or even able to afford a roof over their head. I do it with passion, and I will be doing it continuously. As you know, climate change does not choose who it will rinse today or even tomorrow. When it strikes, it strikes, and it hits women in my community the hardest. And if I did not help, who will? So I get inspired when I wake up every day to lead this work.
Flora, I could listen to you talk all day. I feel very lucky to hear you speak, as I know so many of the people who have heard you today. Just a really quick one for you before we let you go and relax. What's the biggest changes that you've seen for women in Vanuatu since ActionAid started working back in 2015?
I have seen a lot of changes, big, massive transformation. There's three that really stood out. Transformations of rural community women, just simple, humble women transformed into community women leaders that aren't afraid to speak out anymore. Taking the lead in times of crisis. Our recent TC Harold Category 4 cyclone, the ashfall that really damaged and spoiled a lot of our communities in Tana. They started leading responses. They know and now have the information and skill as well to respond. I also get to watch women in the forum standing and starting to demand a seat in the decision-making tables for disaster response and climate change. And you don't see that. It's 40 years of independence now, and we are seeing the changes and the transformation, and I can see it. It's like playing a video all over again. It's right there. So there's more there, but I think with the time on our hands, I can go on all day.
And we would love it, Flora. I do feel very lucky that we've had a chance to sort of pop in to your world momentarily, and we are very grateful for the work that you do, and hopefully tonight we can raise some money to support that work. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having
And
me.
everyone, and read those comments, Flora. You'll feel very encouraged. Already wonderful evening to spend together. All right, well, now for our second presenter, Farah Kabir. Farah has been ActionAid's country director in Bangladesh for the past 13 years and has over 2 decades experience in development and humanitarian response. In 2012, she won the Nawab Ali Chowdhury National Award for her contribution to women's empowerment in Bangladesh. Farah has been a lifelong activist on women's rights, gender equity, and children's rights. Please welcome Farah, who is joining us from Dhaka.
Hi. Hello. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good earth, because I know we are at different time zones. And what a privilege to be with all of you here. The work in Bangladesh is inspiring and exciting, but today I thought I would share with you the experience of working with the Rohingya refugees in an area called Cox's Bazar, which borders with Myanmar. The Rohingyas have been persecuted for a long time in Myanmar, but in 2017, because of the genocide, they had to flee. There was so much violence and killing, and so the entire Rohingya population, they fled. And tonight I want to tell you the story of their resilience. So my story begins in a place called Cox's Bazar, which is basically it's a beach, one of the biggest natural beach and beautiful place, but it is now the home to over 900,000 refugees. And we have very small piece of land. It's like 800,000 acres. I don't know if you can visualize. If you look at the photo we are sharing, it's extremely, extremely congested. Let me take this opportunity and take you through a journey and take you all to Cox's Bazar mentally. So imagine you are in Cox's Bazar. It's 40 degrees in the middle of the day, and the refugees who you see there live in a space. I mean, I hesitate to call it a room because it's 3.5 square meter. It's a shelter made of bamboo and polythene. And in each of this, if we call it a room, there's 8 to 10 people. There's no window. There's no view. And imagine the stuffiness. And imagine in this heat. You're sweating, you're staying in there, and this is your home since 2017. I've been to Cox's Bazar many times since August 2017 because of the response, the work we do with the Rohingya refugees. In ActionAid Bangladesh, we had for a long time working on humanitarian assistance, and this experience of working in humanitarian experience and working with women leadership kind of made us feel that we could contribute somewhat to the plight and improve the conditions of the Rohingya refugees. So ActionAid Bangladesh is working in 19 camps, and our focus was very much to work with the women, to work with the girls. So we created what we call the Women Safe Space. And this space is where the women and the girls could come. You know, initially they were in so much trauma that they could not share or speak about their experiences. But by coming to the safe spaces created by ActionAid in Cox's Bazar, they started to unfold. They started to share. And some of the stories were so traumatic. I would come back and I couldn't sleep for nights. But in our response also, we found that, yes, now they were in a safer place. And the first thing all the refugees, women, and particularly women and girls, were saying, that we feel safe and we can sleep at night. And slowly, with time, after getting psychosocial support, speaking to one another, kind of building a network among themselves in these different women-friendly spaces, they started asking about what can they do to live in a dignified way. They didn't want to be a part of charity. They wanted to learn new skills. They want to do something to be able to contribute. And so we helped them to learn stitching, sewing, embroidery, and they started to create clothes and sell them within the camp. Before 2020, the women, to some extent, the Rohingya refugees were settling down in a way that you can in a refugee camp. This is no home. I mean, I'm sure if you and I were asked, would we like to be in that situation, we would be horrified. I don't think anyone wants to be a refugee. But within that context, they were feeling safer and they were able to do a little bit of creative work, income generating work, even though they were living in such a crowded space. But they worked together to improve it. Then came COVID-19. And given the density, the congestion, we were really worried. We were actually panicking that this COVID, which transmits so fast, and it transmits where there is a lot of people, because of population and density, what will happen in the camp? And if you're in the camp, how do you get the medical services? I mean, globally, we're talking about the failure of the medical infrastructure and non-investment in medical services and so on. But if you transport yourself to the camp, then you wonder how, if you were to get sick, would you get those services? How will you be treated? So one of the things we realized was there was lack of information about COVID and the virus and how they can deal with it, even if it's a temporary relief, but they need to know. So we gave them information about sanitize and help them to find water. And if you're living in a camp, it's not easy to get the water, to be able to get the soap and the sanitization. But the women, the refugees were resilient. And then the women wanted to be an active part of the solution. So we started making masks, and they went into making masks and selling it. The UN agencies took these masks after they were given the training. And as a result, they were feeling that there was something they could do. But when the COVID went on for over 16 months, it is very difficult to keep that spirit up. Yet, I must say, they are very positive. I want to tell you the story about a woman, Noor Bahar, who I met. She is now 20, a little over 20. But when she fled from Myanmar because of the genocide, she fled with her mother and her brother. They were escaping murder, sexual assaults, rape, and she saw all this. Luckily, she was safe and she managed to come across the border. Then later on, next year, she was married off. Unfortunately, her husband assaulted her, even when she was pregnant. She endured much hardship and torture, but there came a point when she broke and she decided to leave her husband. She came to ActionAid Safe Space. She had heard about this from the volunteers in the camps. So first she unburdened, she went through psychosocial support, then she learned how to sew and stitch, and she started making a small living with which she looked after her son. She would buy food for her son, she would buy whatever she needed. And actually, at the camp also gives you food vouchers. Noor Bahar is just one of the many women we work with in the camps. Women and adolescent girls are facing harassment and violence. And even though so many of us, many organizations, ActionAid, we're trying to do a lot in the camp, we still are faced with challenges every day. The psychosocial support at the women-friendly space has paid off. It has helped the women to regain their confidence. Learning skills, sewing, stitching, even gardening, homestead gardening has helped them to build up their confidence and feel that they're living a decent life, even though it's in the camp. But this COVID-19 and the lockdown has created an unprecedented challenge. Tonight, I'm speaking to you from my home, and I've been home for 4 weeks, literally inside the apartment, because COVID-19 transmission and the second wave is really scary. You are probably watching the news and you've seen what is happening in India, in Nepal. I mean, in scale to India, it's much smaller, but Bangladesh has a porous border with India, miles and miles of border with India, and people can transmit because there is so much happening. There's trade and there's exchange and tourism. So we're really worried about the second wave. And we are trying our best to give the information and keep the people in the camps safe. We have to believe that there is hope at the end of this grim situation, because hope is the only rope on which we hang. And Stay Safe programs of ActionAid Bangladesh, information, women-friendly spaces, this is our way of supporting the refugees in the camp. If you come and stand with us, if you support us, we will be able to continue and take this to another level. We'll distribute hygiene kits. A girl needs the hygiene kit every month. Just as food is an essential, water is an essential part of your living, so is the hygiene kit. And we go from door to door providing this. We have realized that even in the camp situation, even in such difficult conditions, there is a gender-based behavior and there's a lot of violence, which is because of your gender. And therefore, we are also trying to work with men and boys to try and sensitize them and help them to create opportunities for work, because they're also traumatized and they're also going through this depression because of the lockdown. They're not able to work, they're not able to go out. So whatever happens is there's a manifestation of violence over women and girls. So we really want to continue the support, however little, however humble it is, but at least the women feel that if we can continue with the sewing, making the mask, coming to the women-friendly spaces, it makes a difference in their life. Tonight, if you gift us $100, it would mean we would distribute 12 hygiene kits. A hygiene kit is made up of mask, soap, hand sanitizer, sanitary pad, laundry soap, and washing detergent. And these are absolutely essential for staying alive. If you were to give us $130, we could buy a sewing machine for the woman, and she would be able to make a living. They can't move around too much, so individuals, if they were given a sewing machine, they could work in their home. If you could give us $1,300, we could provide training for the Rohingya women in workshops and help them to gain new skills and to continue believing that they can do it. They can go through this phase and come out of it. If we can raise $20,000 tonight, we could reach 6,000 women and girls and distribute about 1,200 hygiene kits. The crisis has been compounded by the COVID-19 and the spread of the virus, but we strongly believe that we can collectively make a change, because we have women leaders within the Rohingya refugees and the volunteers and even the host communities who are standing there and trying to help each other. And if you come forward, this would multiply the support, multiply our faith and belief in each other. I'm really honored to be able to speak here tonight, and I hope that you will join us in whatever little initiatives we can take for the Rohingya women. And no one is safe if we are not all safe. So
Yeah.
we have to remember that.
Absolutely. And really grateful, so grateful and so honored to hear you speak tonight and share the work, the very, very important life-saving work that is being done. If you would like to ask a question of Farah, you can down in that little section there. But of course, I've got many. Farah, what has been the most inspiring thing for you in your work with the Rohingya refugees?
The first time I went, you hear expressions like sea of people. I literally saw a sea of people fleeing from the Myanmar junta and atrocities. And they had nothing, they had absolutely nothing. So that made me realize on one front how privileged we are, how whatever, I work with women in the most remotest part of the country and I see difficulties, but being a refugee is a double, triple jeopardy because of your ethnicity and your loss of citizenship, you're nobody. And it was so painful to see that. And then the potential of the women, you just had to spend some time and they were coming up with ideas. They had so much interest. They were beautiful. And that's what helped me go back and work with them, The girls, the young girls. We did, as part of International Women's Day in 2018, we did a kite flying event. And if you had seen the excitement, the women and the girls, they were actually running over us and going out there to fly a kite. Something as simple, but it gave them a sense of hope, a feeling of freedom and feeling of being a human being.
Oh, it's stunning and painful to hear you speak like this as well. There's lots of love for you in the chats as well. I'd love you to read some of the messages that have come through. Just another really quick one, because you do speak of that really wonderful beauty with the women. Have you seen much change in those women since they first arrived at the camps?
Yes, when they first arrived, they were very traumatized and they were scared and everything. In a few months, they said, now we can sleep. We feel at peace. And that was so rewarding. But unfortunately, because they are women and girls, all the other factors started to kick in. Domestic violence, abuse by their male partners, and so on and so forth. And so that was so heart-wrenching that both men and women are in such precarious condition. They don't know what's going to happen next day. But yet, because you're a woman or a girl, you're doubly vulnerable. Yeah. And so this is what was happening. But from there, when the women came to the centers, it was psychosocial support, the mental support. So they could unload. Then the skills. So they felt that they were making a contribution. It's beautiful to see how confident they are, and the things they create, the masks they create, the clothes they make, the handwork they make, they're beautiful. I wish I could take you all and show the handicrafts that they have been making. So if you come, you have to buy a Rohingya, product from the camp.
Oh my goodness, you've painted such a vivid picture tonight as well, or today, or this morning, wherever we might find ourselves. And we feel so lucky to hear you speak this evening and so honoured. Thank you, Farah, so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we hope to raise a good amount of money for incredible work. It's an incredible night hearing all of this. And I'm so pleased to share the evening with you wherever you might be around the world and around Australia. We've got our third and final presenter. Lei Escobar is going to join us. Lei is a project officer of PKKK, also known as the National Rural Women Congress. Lei works alongside rural women in the Philippines on advancing women's rights and their resilience to disaster and conflict through empowerment, solidarity, and women-led initiative. She's also a human rights advocate and just 24 years of age. Please welcome Lei, who is joining us from Batangas in the Philippines.
Thank you so much. Hello and welcome to everyone. Imagine having a completely normal day. You go home after hours of working. You prepare dinner for your children who are doing their homework. Then you turn on the television and you watch your favorite show. Afterwards, you and your family go to bed and sleep peacefully. You were warned of the incoming typhoon, as huge as the Philippines itself. But you ignored it because you are no stranger to typhoons. The Philippines have about 23 every year. Around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you are awakened by the wailing of ferocious wind. You look outside the window and you see trees being uprooted by the strong winds. The wind and rain get stronger, and the concrete walls around you are shaking intensely as if there is an earthquake happening. Water is rushing inside your house, and in a matter of minutes, the water is already up to your chest. And you struggle to get outside of your house, where you and everyone else you know are swept away by the 20 feet high storm surge. Dramatic as this sounds, these words still are not enough to describe how horrifying that morning was for the people of Eastern Visayas. After the storm, people described the place as a mass grave, a place of broken dreams. It took only a few hours on November 8, 2013 for Typhoon Haiyan to completely wipe out the town and cities of Visayas region in the Philippines. It made 6 landfalls across the country, affecting 16 million people, leaving 4 million people homeless, 6,300 people dead, and another 1,000 bodies missing. In these scenarios, women are more at risk in these kinds of disaster because of gender roles. For example, women are less likely to be taught how to swim, which means they have lower chances of survival in flooding. And because they are most often involved in childcare, their mobility may be restricted. They are more likely to be at home when an earthquake, a hurricane, or a landslide strikes. All forms of violence against women also increase during disasters as stress levels arise. But despite being seen as vulnerable, women are often the first responders in the community. I have heard countless stories of how women leaders, for example, led 150 households to find safety in a cave before the storm surge reached them. Of how women leaders were able to stretch available food to feed not only their family, but the whole community. It is said that when a disaster strikes, women will take care of themselves only after taking care of everyone else. And these particular scenarios, amongst many other stories, show how women, despite being treated as victims, could be key players and potential leaders in the field of climate change and disaster risk reduction. In the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan, the National Rural Women Congress, who I am representing today, first partnered with ActionAid to provide emergency supplies of water, of food, and clothing to displaced communities. In 2015, we extended our partnership with ActionAid to set up the Women in Emergencies Network, or WINET, an alliance of 10 women's organizations working together to promote women's rights and to build women's resilience and leadership in humanitarian response. Since then, with ActionAid support, we have trained more than 5,000 women in more than 12 provinces in the Philippines to prepare communities for emergencies and to lead disaster responses, and to make sure women's rights are protected. Aside from responding to natural disasters, WeNet has also been corresponding and coordinating with women leaders across the country to help in the COVID-19 response. We aim for women to be agents of change and not just mere victims of disaster. And you can be part of the social change we are trying to make. Your gift of $200 means we can print information leaflets on women's rights and disaster risk reduction and management and distribute them to 100 women in one island. For $500, we can organize meetings and bring together 100 women from more than 12 provinces and further strengthen WeNet. For $1,000, we can do so much more. We can distribute hygiene and care kit supplies and solar lamps to more than 200 households. If we can raise $25,000 tonight, the WeNet program will be much stronger. We could train more than 3,000 local women to prepare for and lead in future disasters. We can build their self-confidence and empower women to retake their place in a society that always excluded them. We can support them to take leadership roles. During Typhoon Haiyan, I was only 16 years old. I could only watch through our television the destruction this storm brought. But right now, as I listen to the countless stories of typhoon survivors, of my colleagues on how they responded to this crisis, now, more than ever, that I wanted to be part of this movement. We are still far from our goals, yet we are hopeful that someday, when another Haiyan hits the country, we are prepared. Prepared for a future so bright that no calamities could ever stop us from dreaming. Let us all help women rebuild the world. And on behalf of all the empowered rural women in my country, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lei. What an incredible speaker you are. And thank you so much for sharing such a powerful story with us tonight. You'll see lots of love for you as well coming through the chat line this evening. If you have just a few moments, I've got a couple of questions that might be would be great if I could ask you. What do you think has been the biggest impact of the Women's Emergency Network so far?
I think more and more women aren't afraid to speak out and to take lead in terms of crisis. Every time I get to meet women leaders or like hear their stories of resilience, of change, I feel really inspired on how they are using their own narratives, their own stories to participate in spaces wherein they are usually excluded. Women understands the situation they are in and know that they could contribute and actually make the change when they stand up against the inequality and patriarchy.
Yeah, incredible. What's your vision? Because I see you are a person with great vision. What's your vision for the future of WeNet?
I think for an overall vision, I envision a future that is equal, where men and women have equal opportunities in spaces that dictates their situation, where women are not afraid to tell their stories and to voice out and fight and dismantle the inequality in this society. And this is what WeNet is trying to make. We work with programs that are women-centered, that are inclusive, equitable, and transparent and accountable, and centered in women's needs. And that is my vision for WeNet. For all the rural women I am very privileged. I'm very privileged to be able to represent the rural women in our country. And I want them, my vision is for you guys also to hear their stories, not just from me, but from their own spaces. That's it.
Ah, thank you so much. It has been such a treat and an honor, as I said, to hear from you. And again, so many excited people listening to what you have to say this evening. Thank you very much for sharing. And we really hope we can raise some money for you tonight to continue the great work that you do. Thank you, Lei, very much. Thank you. Wow. How incredible are those stories from 3 women making real and such profound difference for other women living in poverty around the globe. Let's see what we can do tonight if we can work together to fund these life-changing projects. Now, this is how pledging is going to work. We're going to invite an advocate for each program up to the screen to tell you why they support ActionAid and to kick off the pledging. And then we're going to open it up to everyone watching. Once the advocate has kicked off the pledging, it will be your turn. And if you'd like to make a public pledge, which is really a beautiful thing to do when we join together and fund together, what you need to do is enter your name and the amount that you want to in the chat box, and I'm going to read it out. Don't worry if I miss your pledge. We're going to go back through the chat box after the event and make sure everyone's pledge is counted. We're going to go through each program in the same order that they are presented. So save your pledges until we are collecting for that program. And when we're done, we'll do a quick second round in case anyone wants to make any final pledges. All pledges are tax deductible, and so by sharing your pledge, you're going to also inspire others to give as well. If you're shy, though, and you would prefer to give privately, you can donate directly on the ActionAid website, or you can text your pledge to the number that is about to be posted in the chat room. I'm excited to announce that a group of ActionAid donors have generously donated $15,000 to a pool of matched funding. So this means that your donations are going to be doubled up to $5,000 per program. So let's get started with the Vanuatu program. Beautiful Flora told us about earlier in the evening. The advocate for this project is Christina Stefanova, who is the chair for ActionAid's Arise Fund.
Hello. I can't hear myself, so I'm hoping that you can hear me. Thank you very much for having me tonight, and what a pleasure to hear from these women and the work that they're doing. I spent my career in international development, climate change, and environment, and have increasingly become interested in human rights and especially gender rights. The work of ActionAid is hugely appealing to me because it combines all of those things. Also, when I was looking at projects to back philanthropically, the name of ActionAid consistently came up as you know, probably the main organization that was doing the kind of work that I was looking to fund. And the Arise program in particular, and some of the work that is happening, not just when the disaster strikes, but in preparing these women and empowering them in advance to be able to lead in the communities when disaster strikes. The program in Vanuatu spoke to me in particular. The country's amazing, the people are lovely, and the women in particular are so resilient and so strong and so humble. The challenges that they face, I mean, it's a highly patriarchal society where women's voices are not often heard and they don't really get a chance to lead. Vanuatu is also a very small country, but spread out over many, many islands. It is hard to communicate everyone in one place and to be doing things together when you're so far apart. And as it happens, it is a country that is struck by every single possible natural disaster. You name it, they have it. We're talking floods, cyclones, droughts, volcanoes, and all of these are situations that women are the first responders for consistently. And they're just so humble in the face of adversity. So I just absolutely love that. ActionAid has given these women a voice. It has taught them to be leaders, and it's preparing them to handle crises for themselves, for their families, for their communities, and really for the entire country in the future, now and in the future. I just can't think of a better group to support. So I hope that you will agree with me. I would love to open the pledges with a $1,000 pledge for myself at the moment, and hoping that everybody else raises their hands up and joins me in supporting the wonderful women of Vanuatu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and what a great way to start the pledging this evening. And as you will see, that amount that Christina has pledged, $1,000, has already doubled and become $2,000. We're pledging for Vanuatu. What we need to do, as you heard, is you need to throw your pledge in the chat box, as Liz Pick has done. Thank you, Liz. $250 from Liz. Thank you. And you'll see, bang, it becomes $500 in just a moment. Steph has done the same thing, $250. Thank you very much. Michelle, thank you, Michelle. Great to see you again now in the chat box, has pledged $100, which you'll see has already become $200. And it's lovely to see. Claire, thank you, Claire, $100 very, very much this evening, taking us to $3,400. As I mentioned, your pledges will be doubled until we get to that $5,000 mark, or the $10,000 really, isn't it? Because I'm very confused. 5,000 matched, and so that will mean when we get to 10,000, we will revert. Belinda, thank you very much. Belinda Morrissey, $500 going to the project that we heard from Flora about this evening, this afternoon, or this morning, depending on where we find you around the world. Christina says, Emily is sitting here with me. Hello, Emily. $200 from Emily. Thank you very much. $4,800 is what we have there. Thank you for your pledges thus far. It was wonderful, incredible to be taken all around the world this evening. And we were in Vanuatu hearing from Flora earlier in the evening. Edith Freeman, thank you, Edith, says $150 from me. Thank you very much. And we say thank you. Lindley Edwards, thank you very much for your extraordinarily generous contribution of $700, which you'll see goes bang up to $1,400. It's a wonderful way to make it feel like your money is really going out. And it is true. Don't worry if I miss your pledge, because we will always go back through the pledging and we'll read out exactly what you need to do, and we'll make sure that we add those. Julie, CEO at TFN, says, I love Vanuatu. I'll donate $100 if 5 men who think their wives are amazing will match with me. That's a good call, Julie, and hopefully it's an easily found thing. Hopefully this is not something we, Christina says, good pitch. Indeed it is. We do not want to be left here standing on the street corner without those matches there. Julie suggesting that maybe it's time to just sort of recognize through a contribution. And won't you be loved by all of us, in fact, if your pledge comes through? Well, or women, in fact, as Julie has rightly clarified, women who think their wives are amazing, and maybe you don't even need to be married. You just love someone who is amazing, who is a woman. Give us a definite contribution in the chat box there. It's really fun writing your name in and throwing some well-earned money toward incredible projects that you've heard about tonight. $6,700 is what we have. And Sarah Morton Ramwell, thank you, who's contributed $150, which is going to take us to a golden figure there, $7,000. The English Family Foundation, thank you so much, $500 contribution there, which takes us up to $8,000. Incredible and wonderful. And again, I felt very lucky to be having some time with Flora this evening with that beautiful flower in her hair. We're raising some really important money this evening to ensure that women on the front line around the world are supported by us. Thank you, Sarah. I have some amazing news. That is amazing news. An anonymous donor has pledged an unbelievable $5,000 for our project in Vanuatu. I think I can hear Flora screaming right now from Vanuatu. That is absolutely incredible. That is brilliant. And we've said Nola Bartak, thank you so much. Nola has given us a wonderful contribution of $50. Christina says, okay, I have a commitment for $15,000 here to match that amount if we can raise it. That sounds incredible. 15,000 here to match that amount if we can raise it. What? Me too, awesome, says Michelle and Sarah Morton Ramwell. That's an incredible contribution. Get some clarity on that $15,000 match. But look, we're at $14,050. ActionAid says, oh my gosh, amazing. So let's hit, okay, $15,000, and then that makes it 30. Oh, that is incredible. Christina, I'm falling off my chair with absolute excitement. I can help with that, Christina. The Vasudhara Foundation will pledge $3,500. Claire says, my husband said that I'm amazing, so I'll add in another $100 on his behalf. Faye Robinson, it's not a small contribution. It's an important one, $100. Thank Green Collar for the matched funding. Incredible. So I'm sure people in the background there are working out how that will work in terms of the match funding. But from everything I understand, that is now $32,750. Does Christina match from you, correct? Yes, and I do believe Christina is saying Green Collar is the matched funding that has been delivered. $15,000 has been added to the total. I just think, how incredible. Guess what, Christina? Another $5,000 from same incredible anonymous donor. That takes us to $37,750. What are we witnessing? Incredible, and really important to note these beautiful amounts coming through. Every amount that you contribute is a really important action, and very, very, very grateful for everything. Action says, ActionAid Australia says, thank you so much, Green Collar and Vasudhara. Thank you very much, Michelle, really incredible. Thank you so much, everyone. $37,750. I don't want to be cheeky. No, I won't be cheeky and ask us to round up, because that is an amazing number. I'm moving even closer. Steph says, amazing to be part of this. It is, isn't it? We're just at home. It's Wednesday morning, evening, night, wherever we are. And we are getting to witness an incredible experience. Thank you so much. Flora's there saying thank you so, so much. I'm so grateful. No need for gratitude, Flora, just a wonderful job that you do. We are grateful, I think, is what's being said. Okay. So I think we could possibly, unless there's any further secret amounts that are hiding anywhere, I think we can move on to our second organization. What an experience. I get a very sore face from smiling when these sorts of events happen. It's just incredible. All right, let's raise some funds for the project in Bangladesh. The advocate for this program is Natasha Stott Despoja, chair of Our Watch and first Australian to join the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. She has provided us with a video this evening.
Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Stott Despoja. It's a great privilege to be associated with this feminist-focused organisation. Today we kick off a pledge for women's rights for ActionAid. Yes, it's a crowdfunding exercise designed to support and promote and continue the good work of this organisation. ActionAid fights for climate justice, fights for economic justice, for women's rights and for poverty eradication. I've had the extraordinary opportunity of seeing this work firsthand, whether it's ActionAid presenting at an international humanitarian summit in Turkey, or indeed looking at the life-changing, indeed literally life-saving work in the region, for example, in Vanuatu after cyclones. But I've also witnessed the extraordinary work of ActionAid in Bangladesh. And today, one of our speakers, Farah Kabir, you'll hear from her about that work. You'll hear from 3 speakers today, all inspiring, trailblazing women. But I sat down with Farah in Bangladesh. Not only that, I got to see firsthand the work in places like Cox's Bazar, one of the largest refugee camps in the world. And as if some of those issues already confronting the world, and particularly women and children in those camps, weren't enough, now we're faced with this deadly pandemic, which we know has exacerbated existing inequalities, particularly between men and women, boys and girls. It's made the situation for previously marginalised groups even worse, particularly those from poorer backgrounds or those with disabilities. We know that COVID has had a deleterious effect on women, particularly their health. And we also know that violence, gendered violence, has absolutely skyrocketed in our region, globally, and in our own country too. So ActionAid in Bangladesh is not only dealing with some of those previous issues, but now is ensuring everything from midwifery support to psychosocial support and protecting and supporting women. I am pledging $1,000 to begin with. I hope that my pledge will go towards continuing the good work that ActionAid does in Bangladesh. I urge you to dig deep if you can. If not, even a small donation will be greatly appreciated. And where would you like your pledge to go? And how would you like it to support the good work of this feminist-focused organisation? Thank you, ActionAid, for everything you do. And thank you, everyone, for being a part of a pledge for women's rights today. Cheers.
So great to hear from Natasha this evening with such passionate support for the work of ActionAid Australia. And now we find ourselves getting whooped around the screen here. I'm getting a little woozy, but very excited to say that we can already see that $2,000 has now been raised for Bangladesh. We are now pledging for Bangladesh, and the wonderful work, the extraordinarily important work that we heard about earlier in this evening. Farah shared us some incredible stories. We can see that she is there. She says, thank you, Natasha, for your sharing contribution. And so that kicks us off at 2,000, but here we go. And don't forget, if you are feeling a little shy this evening, you can text through on that number that you saw in the chat box. Just gone up a little bit further. Julie from TFN says, I've got a proxy from Mitty Williams. What a beautiful name is Mitty Williams. $200, but she would like a match from 2 strong women. Where will she find that this evening? That already takes us to $2,400 this evening. There we go. Sarah Morton Ramwell says, I will pledge $200. Mitty, that's 1, and we need 1 further. 2,800 is what we have raised for the incredible life-saving work that is going on. It'll be great to see your contributions to that work this evening. Edith says, I will pledge $200. Edith, thank you very much. Claire VH, I'd like to donate $260 for 2 sewing machines. Thank you very much, Claire. I have a great $200 from an amazing ActionAid anonymous donor. And of course, you can do this anonymously. And if you're shy, you can go on and do this via the number that you saw earlier in the evening. But it is so incredible, isn't it, to join together and to bring our money together to see exactly what we can do when we crowdfund. Christina Dunn is donating $250. Thank you very much. Also from another Christina. That's wonderful. Michelle said, I'd love to pledge another $100 as Farah inspires me. As she did all of us this evening. Steph says, I would love to donate $250. And as you can see, everyone that's pledging up until we get to $10,000 will see their donations being doubled as we've got match funding until $10,000 this evening. It's very satisfying to see what you put down actually doubling. So we encourage you to get in and see those numbers grow for each of these incredible organizations. And as Natasha Stott-Despoja was saying, it's such a wonderful thing to be doing, to be supporting this feminist-focused organization. Belinda Morrissey, thank you. I'll donate $500. And we bang. See, Belinda, how good is that? Move to $6,320. I'm a disaster at sewing, so instead I'll buy a sewing machine. How many machines can we buy, folks, says Julie. And I do believe that would mean that we are donating how much, Julie, again? It is $130 for a sewing machine. So we'll add that. Thank you, Julie, which it doubles as soon as you do it, which is wonderful. Lots of love for Belinda saying thank you for your support. Thank you, Julie, as well. Liz says $250. How many sewing machines is that? It's roughly 2, nearly, almost $10 off, but very, very good. $250, Liz. Excellent contribution, and thank you so much for that. Incredible to think. Palm Avenue Foundation via Ali, thank you. $1,500. What's that? And then bang, we're at $9,820. Stephen, we will add $250 to Bangladesh and $250 to other programs as well. I must have missed a little something there. Another $500 from the English Family Foundation. Thank you for your enormous generation, English Family Foundation. That takes us beyond $10,000. It's $10,660 this evening. And I am feeling the excited vibes. How about we add another $5,000 if is there a very special Action Aid donor? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, how about we add $5,000? I thought it was just a suggestion. No, it's not. It's a very good one. And well, Ronette, it looks like you've said $1 million in your contribution. We are very grateful for your $100 contribution. How incredible. Thank you so much for all of that. Just adding $5,000 in there, almost out of nowhere, $15,760. Yes, it's Real Set Action Aid Australia. It's not a suggestion. It's an instruction. I love a little instruction to add $5,000 in. That's taken us to $15,760. And we know that is going to be an exciting amount. Christina, your incredible generosity is adding a $250 to this evening. Faye, thank you, Faye. $100 from Faye. Vasudhara Foundation is also pledging $3,500, an incredible contribution. Thank you. That's being done via Belinda. Thank you very much. That takes us to, as Julie says, oh, wowzers, to $19,610. Action Aid Australia have got caps locks out and written wow. Thank you so much. Again, an incredible reaction. It's so lovely. $19,610. and $10 has been raised for Bangladesh. And as we heard, Carol is very excited about this as well. Farah is there, being very grateful for the support. But of course, we say thank you to you for your work. Nola says $50. Thank you so much, Nola, for your contribution, taking us very close to a little magic number that looks wonderful. Michael, I'd like to donate $1,000 on behalf of the team at ethicaljobs.com.au. And that's a wonderful contribution. Thank you to everyone behind that donation. Greatly appreciated. $20,660, people. Wow. An incredible amount. I wonder if there's any more that we could conjure this evening. We do a second round, in fact. Just a real quick whip around if you've realized that you have, a couple of thou lying around that you forgot about that we can add to any of these organizations. ActionAid is now double exclaiming, oh my gosh, Michael, thank you so, so much. So glad you're here. We are indeed very happy that you are all here this evening, Michael. Absolutely. It is wonderful to have a little virtual experience with everyone tonight and enjoy what it means to sit at home in the comfort of our homes, which we are very, very lucky to be sitting in. And that's something that we're being very mindful about this evening. And sharing $20,660 with organizations that are feminist focused and looking at very, very important issues that we have. Mava says 340 because I like a round number and I'm so inspired by the work of ActionAid Bangladesh. Love you, Mava. That is exactly the kind of contribution that we love. It does take us to a beautiful round number of $21,000, which I know is very good and very exciting. And we thank you all. Give yourselves a little clap for getting us to that point. We will come back around again, of course, and share with you an opportunity to contribute again to all of our organizations. But let's invite the advocate, ActionAid Australia board member, Belinda Morrissey, on screen to share the message of support for the project that Lei spoke about earlier in the evening. Let's hope Belinda is there, joining us, about to swoop onto the screen for us. We've seen Belinda beautifully contributing in our chat box this evening. So we know she's there. There she is.
There I am. Thank you so much, Jacinta. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Belinda Morrissey, and I'm really, really proud to be the Vice Chair of ActionAid Australia. And it's my absolute pleasure to be Lei's advocate this evening. Oh my gosh, what an incredible young woman. It's young women like Lei that really give me hope and inspiration for the future. I've been on the board of ActionAid now for just over 2 years. And I think the reason for me personally to be on the board was just so eloquently summed up by Lei when she said, and I'm going to quote, that she aims for women to be agents of change and not just mere victims of disaster. So this is about giving women a voice and the ability to be able to determine their own future. And that's something that I'm really, really proud of to be part of with ActionAid and really passionate about. As a mother and as a wife and as a daughter, it's something that really resonates with me. And through ActionAid, as Lei said, we can be part of the solution. We can actually be part of creating that change. Now, more than ever, women like Lei and the women that she works with in the Philippines, they really need our support. They're going through very tough times, and it's critical that we can rally together for them. Over my years with ActionAid, I've been really fortunate to witness their impact of supporting women leaders at the front line of injustice. And I think what's really always impressed me about ActionAid's agenda and approach is that they prioritize the voice of the women that they work with, and they work to their needs to really enable and unlock and provide the conditions for these women to be able to lead their communities and lead their families as they deem appropriate and best for their situation. So tonight I am totally inspired by the incredible pledging that's been happening. Thank you so much on behalf of the Board of ActionAid Australia. Thank you to everybody out there. Thank you for coming along. It has been such an inspiring night, and I'd like to start the pledges off with my personal pledge of $1,000. And I hope that you, and look, I've just seen the number come up, so it's automatically 2,000. That's fantastic. I really hope that you too can find it in your hearts to join me tonight. And thank you so much for your support for ActionAid. And as Lei herself said, let's all help women rebuild the world. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And a sneaky little friend down there beside you. Thank you so much, Belinda. Hi. Joining us and for your wonderful, wonderful kickoff bid and your wonderful words tonight, and your work as well, Belinda. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now pledging for the Philippines, and as we have seen, $2,000 is what pops up. Michelle says, thank you so much, Belinda. We feel so privileged to have your support tonight and your leadership on the board. We've found our way at $2,000, and I very much look forward to seeing how we might go this evening. Being very, very inspired by all of our presenters this evening, and Lei and her passion and incredible ability to communicate what she did this evening. Great introduction, Belinda, says Claire. Lei, you're an inspiration. $200 from me. Thank you, Claire, for all your support this evening. And Nola, for you as well. Thank you. $50. Greatly appreciate your contribution to everything this evening, to all of the projects that are being run. Thanks, Belinda. Love to contribute, says Steph. $150. Thank you very much. $250 from Stephen McIntosh from earlier. Thank you, Stephen. And another $100 from Michelle, who's also been a wonderful contributor this evening. Lei will change the world. I hope Lei will be watching. Lei needs to know very much how extraordinarily impressive she is. Christina, $250, and the other Christina, love you both, $100. Thank you. And bang, bang, it looks wonderful. $500 from the English Family Foundation. Thank you, Belinda, via Belinda. Thank you, English Family Foundation. Wonderful. $5,200. $200 from the wonderful Mitty for Lei's amazing pitch. She would like someone to add a 0. That's a great idea, Mitty. So has anyone got $2,000 that they would like to pitch? It's just a little hopeful suggestion, putting a little vision board out there. A wonderful anonymous ActionAid donor strikes again. Gosh, whoever you are, $500, brilliant. Lei will definitely change the world, says Belinda. Indeed, and she already is, isn't she? $150 from Edith, because I hope my granddaughter changes the world like Lei. That's beautiful, Edith. Oh, my goodness, $5,000 from us at the Palm Avenue Foundation, which will kick us well over the wonderful, oh, my goodness. Ali Marsh, thank you very much. $200 from Sarah Morton Ramwell. Thank you very much, Sarah. That's taking us now up to 13,000 and something. I think it's a little more, but perhaps we're at 650. Brilliant and incredible. Like how this happened so quickly and so joyfully and so done. Christina has just said $5,000 from Emily Donovan here. I'm just going to do the wild, extremely excited face on behalf of what I can feel the energy through this virtual world of extraordinary excitement at the generosity. Emily Donovan, $5,000. Oh, my goodness. They're blowing us away, says ActionAid Australia, generally. And Michelle is saying, I think I have the same excited face. I am embodying the excitement. Faye says, hello, Lei. Such a great pitch. You did a great job. $100 from me. And thank you, Faye, for all of your support, and congratulations. Christina, add those zeros, says Julie. And indeed you are. Thank you so much. Liz Pick above, I missed it. Thank you, Liz. Oh, sorry, Liz. Thank you. $250. A brilliant contribution. Thank you very much, which takes us to an incredible $19,000 that we're raising for the Philippines project that we heard from an extraordinarily powerful pitch. Oh, Belinda says, this is so exciting. And yes, I'm going to add a pledge from Vasudhara Foundation for $3,500. That's the face. That what? $22,500 is what we've raised. Haha, I'm a little owed out, I think, still working the room here, but let's see, Christina, you're doing an incredible job in the room that you're in. And for whoever is sharing that room with you, we are enormously excited and very, very grateful. $22,500 is what we have raised thus far. Oh my gosh, Secret Squirrel update. Another $5,000 from an anonymous, I'm going to start crying, ActionAid donor. Look at this incredible support. Oh my goodness, $27,500. Anonymous donors, whoever you are or whomever you are, we are so grateful for your contribution. $27,500. I get a really sore head from smiling so broadly, but I can't help it. Thank you, Tara and team at Vasudhara, good folk who actually funded the very first TFN virtual event. Julie says 100 for me just because Lei inspired me so much. $27,600 is where we find ourselves in a incredible result this evening. I'll wait for a couple of moments before we move back and just do a really quick sweep over the projects this evening. But I don't think there is any doubt with the excitement and the gratitude for the generosity this evening. Wow is what I'm going to say. $27,600. I can feel Lei out there in the world and the incredible work that is being done. We are also grateful, as Michelle has said, so grateful that we can support these inspiring women and projects. It is just so important. Okay, this means that we are now moving into a really quick look through what we've done, and we'll see where we are. So $37,750 has been raised for Vanuatu, Bangladesh, $21,000, and for the Philippines, $27,600. What we're going to do is one more quick round through. I'll tell you exactly which one we're raising for, and we'll see if there's any extra support for these projects. If you've just realized there's like, a couple of mil that you forgot you had, now would be the time. But of course, as we've said, if you'd like to donate privately, you can do so with the number that we've been sharing this evening, and also getting onto the ActionAid website. This is going to be running for a couple of weeks, so it's something that you can share around with all of your networks to get some support for these programs. But let's see if we've got any more money to support the work being done in Vanuatu. We heard from the wonderful Flora earlier this evening. Just a couple of minutes we'll spend here. So if you have any, $37,750 is what has been brought so far. Waiting just quietly, and I think it is very reasonable for us to say what a celebration that amount is. You can pledge at 0430 336 233. Or you can get onto actionaid.org.au and you can find your way through to Pledge for Women's Rights. Okay, well done. That is Vanuatu in a very happy and very, very, very exciting outcome for that project this evening. Let's move quickly to Bangladesh. At this point, we have raised $21,000. If you would like to add to that, Farah is who we heard from earlier in the evening, another incredible story of need for support from us around the world to ensure that other women are not suffering as drastically as they are. $21,000 at the moment is what we have raised. Can we all pledge $50 each and see how far we get for all the women here? Bangladesh women need us. I'm going to pledge $50. Stephen for Vanuatu, sorry it's a bit late, $250. Don't even worry. Liz says $100. Jacinta says $100 as well. Kristen Lark says, yeah, I'm going to do it, $50 as well from me. Kristen there from TFN. We're at $21,250. I do love that sentiment of $50 for that support. Steph's going to add 50. Thank you, Steph, to your already very, very generous contribution this evening. Thank you so much. $21,350 is what we have raised. If there's any other little amounts, any amounts at all, nothing's little. Everything is appreciated and very gratefully received. Thank you, Nola. Another $50 for Bangladesh. You've had an incredible contribution this evening. Thank you very much. Mitty Williams is going to add $100. What with a name like that, we won't say no, Mitty. Love it. $21,500. Another $100 for Bangladesh for Robin Kirk. Thank you, Robin. $50 for my beautiful daughter, Lily, from Belinda. Hi, Lily, again. It was nice to see you tonight. Another $200 for Bangladesh from Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. 50 more from me, says Sarah Morton Ramwell. And little by little, each of these amounts are adding up to a wonderful thing, $21,900. Thank you, Robin, Belinda, and Michelle. Mitty Williams, thank you, says ActionAid Australia, and Nola, of course. So many people. Sarah, you're wonderful. Thank you. Oh, Bella, another $50 for my goddaughter, Jade. Thank you, Julie. As always, you know, Julie, though, will not feel very comfortable with $21,950. She will be itchy unless we get it to a nice, even, round figure, because that's the kind of gal she is, and we love her for it. And it would be lovely if we could help her out to round up that number. But, of course, the money is being raised for such an important project. ActionAid Bangladesh is what we're doing. I'll give it one more minute to do a roundup so that Julie can sleep peacefully this evening. $21,950. Is anyone going to help? Oh, here we go. Heck, what? ActionAid just said, okay, we have another $5,000. Ah, oh my goodness. That is incredible. Sarah Morton Ramwell rounded up as well the $50, which is joyous. Nola, thank you. That anonymous donor. What an incredible thing. $27,000. It's just incredible. It's very emotional, isn't it, to be part of this and to see what we can do together. Michelle says, incredible, indeed. I think we can say thank you for that wonderful outcome. $27,000 for the project in Bangladesh. Farah, I hope you're there somewhere. All right, well, let us quickly move to the project that we were just supporting moments ago. If Lei, we were speaking of Lei and the project in the Philippines. So let us see if there is any more. $27,600 is where we are right now. We have done very well with our round figures this evening. So, you know, if I can encourage you in that way, that is what I will do. $27,600 for the incredible work that we were just moments ago celebrating, the work of Lei and, as she said, the women that she leads in rural Philippines. Incredible. If there's any more at this point, you know, we will whoop and we will holler. And Lily might even dance where Belinda is right now. I've got a feeling she will. I will. I'll dance. We'll all dance. We're all dancing anyway as a collective, raising money of $92,600. I mean, my goodness, what a night. What a night. Wednesday night, people are wearing Ugg boots, you know, and this is what can happen. I'll give you another couple of moments just to see if there's any extra contribution to an already very generous $27,600. Belinda says Lily will absolutely dance. I've got a feeling Lily's going to dance. I knew she would. She's a good soul. $27,600. Enormously grateful. And just a few moments to see if there's any more. Kristen, thank you. $50. Can we get it to... yes, and 100,000 for that big round number, says Liz. So that's good thinking. I need inspiration from people like you, Liz Peck, to be thinking about that sort of stuff. To get to 92,000, what is the maths? 650 minus 7,350? Yeah, that's great. And it is simple. You just pop a little pledge in. I mean, if someone's got $7,350, that would be great. And we'd be extremely grateful. We love round numbers. I know. Action Aid saying, good work, Liz. Liz is our little wing person supporting some lateral thinking for our fundraising this evening. I will hold a moment of peace and tranquility. It is true. I love that. Yeah, the final chance to empty those pockets and check behind the couch. It is one of my gags. Just you've got a couple of thou in the corner pocket. Have you done the vacuuming recently? And you just sort of, there's $10,000 I forgot. I stashed in the couch. Better support some incredible initiatives around the world. Look, I think that is perhaps where we are. Is it? I ask. It's rhetoric in some way, but it's still a question. But I'm ready to call peaceful conclusion to an incredible evening. And as Kristen really brings up, we're going to share the link to the event and encourage others to donate. So we can, fingers crossed, that this will be an amount that we can celebrate as a combined $100,000. What is Action Aid saying? Is it? I don't know what that means, but I love is it with a great little smiley, very, very curious emoji. Any other instructions here, I'd be gratefully appreciative. But I do think we are at the end. Is that what you mean? Is it? Are we doing that? Yes. Thank you so much for your generosity. Wonderful stuff. What an amazing night. Thank you so much for demonstrating the power of what we can do together to support women everywhere. And this is exciting. We get to see Michelle again. And you might see there's a fulfill your pledge. You can click that button now and sort it all out. We're going to ask Michelle to come back up and share with us what impact your support will have on these three vitally important projects. Michelle, hello.
Hello. I'm definitely dancing in my lounge room. This is so exciting. And thank you so much, everyone, for the incredible generosity tonight and for joining us and pledging for women's rights. The support has been incredible. And, you know, it's going to enable us to expand Women's Weather Watch to 2 new islands, to scale up efforts to support Rohingya women in Cox's Bazar with hygiene kits, sewing machines, training, and also to expand the training of women leaders through the Women's Emergency Network in the Philippines, as well as women's access to information. It's just so incredible what we've been able to achieve together. Thank you so much for your generosity tonight and for joining us. Thank you to the inspiring women who are leading these frontline efforts amidst very challenging circumstances. Flora, Farah, Lei, we salute you. And Christina, Natasha, Belinda, thank you so much for your support for our incredible causes tonight. Big thanks also to TFN and the Action Aid crew behind tonight's event, which has just been exceptional. Thank you so much, everyone. And please, in the words of Lei, do remember that women will change the world.
So fantastic. It's so lovely to see you again, Michelle, to celebrate this incredible, event that we've had this evening. And good luck with all this work.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Jacinta. It's just been wonderful having you lead tonight's event.
What an honor. How joyful it is. I feel very, very, very lucky. You can fulfill your pledge, as I mentioned before, right now by clicking on that green button down there. It's even doing a little, it's got a little, yes, you see that little thing go through it. You're going to also get a link tomorrow via email, or you can just go to the ActionAid website anytime. They'll also send a link to tonight's stream so you can share with your networks and encourage others to donate. ActionAid is going to be updating you on the impact of your support as well over the coming weeks and months. And until we meet again, thank you so much for an incredible evening of generosity and support. Please stay safe wherever you are, morning, noon, or night. It has been wonderful for us to join together this way. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great morning. We'll see you soon.